Hi everyone. So today I'd like to talk about the Buddhist concept of no self. You recall that last week in Hinduism we talked about the Atman, which is that little part of you which is equal to the Brahman, and that even though it doesn't have personality and you go through several lives with it, it is yours in some sense until you get reabsorbed, right? And attain moksha. Well, not the case in Buddhism. So Buddhism takes a lot of concepts of Hinduism and changes their value, right, and their meaning. And for Buddhism, there's no self, like none, zip, nada, zilch. And what do they mean by that? All right, so there's this long dead Greek guy by the name of Heraclitus, right? And Heraclitus once wrote that you cannot step into the same river twice. Now, what did he mean by that? Well, so you put your little foot in a running stream, yeah, and then you take it out and you do it again, but absolutely all of the molecules have changed since the previous time you did. Right? You have different water, you have different plant life, you have different fish, bugs, whatever. So it's that idea that jacked up. So if it's Buddhists, you can't even put your foot in the stream once. So it's already rushing past. Yeah, so you think it's a stream, but it's actually completely different at every single second, millisecond. So for example, since I began this sentence, you have thought about lunch, right? You've shifted in your chair, you decided to change your major, you wondered what's for dinner. You are substantively different, right, as a mental state than before I began this extremely long, silly sentence. So that's where the Buddhists are going here, right? There's never a concrete you. And I think that this is apparent in things like, you're radically different than you were when you were 2 years old, right? The exception of your genetic material. So they just take that idea and they make it constant. All right, so why do we think we have selves if we don't really? It's like, well, we are put together with these skandhas, and skandhas are heaps or clusters. And what they are qualities that make us think that we have a continuous self. So, for example, I like teaching. I like cooking. I like sleeping in. Now, these things are all true about me, but none of them were true 40 years ago, right? Most of them weren't true 30 years ago. Some weren't true 20 years ago. So the things that I think make Kathy Kathy are actually subject to constant change. And it doesn't have to be even radical, right? You just grow in and out of things over the course of your lifetime. So the skandhas are what keep you thinking that you are yourself. But in fact, they change too. And when you die, they just go boop, 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 and they just all disappear. And in your next lifetime, I don't know, you could be a cat person from Fiji. Right. So whatever is true about you right now is really not true, won't be true very shortly, and certainly will be completely false in your next life. So there's no you. All right, try to think about that. It's a little freaky if you take it seriously.